6th. Thank you. Call this February 26, 2024 meeting of the Southborough Personnel Board to order. We have one item of business to address the new civil engineer job description. The agenda improperly says civil engineer 2, but it's civil engineer. Bill, do you want to speak to the updates, the changes, and why?
Sure thing. So as you may recall, we had a version of this we called Civil Engineer 1 at one point. And the idea that we had for pay rate based upon my salary survey and with Vanessa's help showed that the range of salary varied for this type of position between 80 and 120,000. So the scoring of the prior version of the job description scored below that window, which caused concern for us in terms of what we're going to be able to get for the position with qualifications, as well as the salary that would be paid. So we asked the personnel board if we could basically take a step back, recraft the job description to better meet the scoring criteria that the committee uses in evaluating these types of positions. So the edits that were made to the position description are highlighted in red. I'm not sure if you have the track change version or not, but you know, generally speaking, it gives a little more responsibility to the position in terms of description. They will develop policies and protocols and procedures. That's an addition to the last version we discussed. They will assist with competitive bidding to ensure compliance with regulations. They will assist with the preparation of the operation budget and capital budget and the enterprise fund that we have. They will collaborate with other municipal departments. So I envision maybe planning board relying on that mainly in some of their projects that they have ongoing. They'll have access to some confidential or litigation type information and provide input there. We upped the training requirements to have a bachelor's degree as opposed to just an associate's degree, and more than 5 years related experience. And that's really the bulk of the changes. There's one more under job environment in terms of errors in their judgment may have negative effects on the town's ability to deliver services. But that's it in a nutshell. So it's just really adding some responsibility to the position in order to qualify for that grade level that we were looking for.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. I will open it for discussion. Questions or comments?
I have a few, and I promised to be brief, Dorian. So, Bear, you sort of covered it with your initial comments. This is a civil engineer description. I just think from a proofreading perspective, like it's still in the footer, et cetera. It still says civil engineer 1. So just, again, after the meeting, if someone could just do a clean Control F through just to find any 1s, 2s, et cetera, that would be great. My other question was under special requirement licensing. You talked about the procurement part, Bill, and it just they're going to assist in this, but they're not ultimately responsible for it, right? In terms of procurement.
Correct. So, you know, they may assist in quantity estimating for bid documents, project scoping, that's that level of detail.
Okay.
I would handle the actual procurement documents.
So I guess my question, maybe this is for Vanessa, how does this overlap with the role that's currently occupied by Melanie, right? In the requirements that we have in that job description.
Sure.
Like, how does that usually work? Like, and I realized Melanie doesn't have expertise in DPW
Correct.
projects, so
Well,
just explain to us just how it
sure.
works. And
So
then I have
Melanie,
minor
would be assisting other departments and, making sure that, they have the resources they need when it comes to, providing the bid specifications and, helping to proofread, things like that, making sure all those documents are uploaded on the website, helping to assist if we need to, amend or revise, a project scope or a deadline. So she'd be more helping with the logistics of those things.
Got it. So then my comment is, so I agree, it's preferred for sure. I think it's MCPPO, not MAPPO. Is the actual
Oh, sorry.
designation.
Yes, MAPPO is the State's Procurement Association, so we just used the wrong initials there.
Yeah.
So I'll fix
You
that.
want them
Thank you.
certified in the procurement, basically the same,
Yes.
like if at all possible. And then my last question, and this goes to the crux of what we'll probably discuss on the grading, is the use of the words must have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, right? That was one of the major changes you made. I don't have a strong opinion on this, but this is really limiting your pool, Bill, right? Like, basically, I'm just trying to listen to what you've said in the past, and I know what you're trying to accomplish from a pay scale.
Yes.
I'm wondering, and I don't think it changes my grading, but I can't speak for Barry or Vanessa, whether this should say bachelor's degree strongly preferred. That way, if you have a candidate that has a associates, but is in process of getting a batch, but if it has to say must have, then I just think it's, again, limiting your pool, and I'm just trying to listen to what you've told us. You're the ultimate one that's going to hire and supervise this person's work, so the must just stood out to me.
So I appreciate that. I do carry on that sentence, and I see or more than 5 years of related professional experience. And the way I read that is and at least the intent is, we have someone that's got an equivalent to a bachelor's degree there. That or gives us that latitude.
So I would just remove must have and just say bachelor's degree. It's such a distraction with the must.
Right.
I realize it's semantics, and then it allows you to utilize that or, which is why I said it didn't. That's where I was going with it doesn't impact the grading, but I don't know. I could go
Nope.
either way on that. It was just, it stood out to me when I was reading this based on your prior comments. That's all I got.
We also have the subheading just above there, that it still is under recommended qualifications. So sometimes that language, is a little bit fluid, but I'm happy to make that edit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's say what we mean. Let's say what
I
we
agree with Jason. I think it's cleaner just to take out must have and still says the same thing, but I think it's cleaner.
Got it.
Question, Barry.
John?
You 5 years of related professional experience. I don't know exactly where a civil engineering or this person fits, but is this in municipal circles or similar to what you'd be doing in the DPW, or is that experienced in the world?
I think it's you could say related engineering experience, I guess, to be a little more clear. I've dealt with many professionals that are not civil engineers that I would put up against civil engineers any day of the week. So, the goal there is not to hire, someone that has professional experience, a bookkeeper or something like that. It's to get somebody that has some sort of engineering type experience.
Other questions, comments?
So we're saying that we move the grade up on this with these few changes. But having a college degree in civil engineering is not going to impact that grade if we're not making that mandatory? Is that what you're saying? That didn't affect the grading at all? I would assume that it would. That's a pretty valuable education level to have when you want to become an engineer of any kind, anywhere. So I'm just asking. If we took that out and we just put strongly preferred and it's not mandatory, you're telling me that that's not going to impact how we graded this?
Well, I think it's a combination of the education and experience. We're not saying he's not looking for a bachelor's degree as opposed to an associate degree, which it said in the earlier draft. It's that we want someone with a bachelor's degree, but if there's a candidate that's equally qualified to someone who has a bachelor's degree, but got that qualification through 5 years of experience, we will accept that as well. Is that fair, Bill?
Yes, and as I'm looking at this, instead of recommended minimum qualifications, Vanessa, maybe we could say preferred minimum qualifications.
But
But to get,
That's a heading that's in every job
yeah,
description.
we can't
Yeah,
change
we
Is
can't
it?
it.
change that.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that has to stay there. That's.
okay.
I just
but-
want to make
but-
sure we're not grading this incorrectly. I mean, I know we moved around to try to get this up to where it needs to be financially for someone coming in. But if you're requiring a degree, bachelor over associate, there's a 2-year difference. It's 50% more education. I just want to make sure we're wording this correctly and this doesn't have a negative impact and doesn't, if someone went back in to regrade this and none of us, and someone went back in and it just says bachelor's degree strongly preferred or 5 years, are they going to downgrade this to a 5? I mean, that's my question. So I just want us to be careful with what we're doing here.
Yeah, I mean,
No problem with it. I'm just throwing that out for conversation because if somebody looks at that, I want to make sure we're doing this correctly.
yeah, without getting into the weeds here, I would say I'd be comfortable with this as a 6. Clearly, I was reading it the way it was written, and to me, it said bachelor's degree or 5 years experience, so it wouldn't have affected my scoring. I can't speak for
I agree.
Vanessa or Jason.
And that's good enough for me. I just wanted to throw the question out. Thanks.
Dorian, you're making my point on civil engineer 1 versus civil engineer 2, but I promise I won't go back to that again.
No, we're gonna go.
All right. Any further discussion?
One
Go ahead, John.
recommended that we bring this in grade 6. What step?
Okay, well, first of all, we have to approve the job description before we get to the classification. So is there a motion to approve the job description amended with the removal of the words must have N before bachelor's degree and to clean up any typographical errors that are in the document?
So moved. Second.
Second. All
Take your
right,
pick,
Jason,
whoever's
you
doing
can,
the
I'll
minutes.
second it.
All right.
Vanessa, did you?
Sorry, just one quick question. Bill and I were chatting about this earlier. We've gone back and forth between the civil engineer 1, which you had at the last meeting. And there was a consensus to, come back with this edited job description under civil engineer 2. So I just want to clarify, what title we're using in the SAP.
Civil
Well,
engineer.
the job description says civil engineer.
Yeah, no numbering because there's only
Okay,
one.
no numbering. Okay, just that's the part I want to clarify.
If Bill ever wants to add a second, then we have numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. We have a roll call vote. Ms. Jasinski,
Aye.
Mr. Thorburn,
Aye.
Mr. Malinowski.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That is approved. We now
Thank you.
move on to classification. You have the memo in the packet. It's recommended that it be placed at a job grade 6. there any discussion of that? John, is this your question?
Well, yeah, job grade 6, we're getting, are we gonna, when's this position start?
Not till July 1st, until funding
Okay,
is secured.
So it would come under the new grid,
Yes,
okay? All right. In fairness to current employees, we don't have one in this position, but under the SAP that we're going to be operating under, I guess I want to know what are we calling this grid? Steps. It goes from 1 to 15.
Right,
What are we looking at here?
We haven't gotten that far yet, so we don't have candidates.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this is something we've got to have clarified, really, this, what we call the 1 through 15, are they steps?
Yes,
yeah, steps.
So the way it's written, we can bring in an employee anywhere on those steps. Like if you
Theoretically, yes,
wanted
yes.
to bring this civil engineer in on step 8,
Possible depending upon their experience and qualifications.
okay. Well, I have a concern with bringing in new people. And well, this is a new position, so I guess I can't discuss how that affects current employees when you bring in somebody that's you're going to bring them in at a higher step than
John, this is no different than what we do. Don't
Right.
get confused by this. This is no different than what we do today. The personnel director can bring someone in below midpoint without anyone's approval, and if it's above midpoint, which we've had to do a lot recently, personnel board has to have a meeting and understand the qualifications of the person. But for today, Barry, I think all we're trying to do is just say they will be in that 30% range of what grade 6 is. And I think the steps would be a discussion we have much further down the road once we see the candidate that Bill's bringing forward.
Yeah, and we may never have that discussion based on where they're placed on the grid, but as Jason said, it's exactly the same as we've always done it. It's very rare for us to hire someone at the minimum. It's just the reality. So anyway, so right now we're focused on classification only. So is there any further discussion on classification?
Nope.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second,
So the motion is to place the civil
That's fair.
engineer position at job grade 6. I have
Yes,
a-
that's the motion.
And that's seconded. All in favor, Ms. Jasinski,
aye.
Mr. Thorburn,
Aye.
Mr. Malinowski,
Aye.
chair votes aye, that is approved. Thank you, Bill,
Thank you so much, everyone.
for dealing with it.
Have a good day, Bill.
Okay, we'll see you.
Bye.
Thanks. Okay, there is no other business before us, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, Ms. Jasinski,
Aye.
Mr. Thorburn,
Aye.
Mr. Malinowski.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much for your time.
thank
Thank
you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Aye.